Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. So, leg day. How are we going to do leg day today? Well, to be real with you, we got a lot on our minds right now with everything. I mean, we've been in front of a computer for probably just over 24 hours in the past 2 days coding. We've been sitting down, just grinding out code for over half the time we've spent on this planet for the past 2 days. And we've gotten a lot of code out, I will say. We've gotten a lot of code out, and we have been in and out of flow states. And if I was to kind of just let you guys know how it feels at the moment, it feels like there is a storm coming. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I feel like there's a storm coming in terms of activity. Like we're in that early stage where many startups never even actually get to. It's that early stage where you can feel the momentum and you can feel things happening and you can feel that something is coming, but you don't know what. You don't know what is on the horizon, what's going to come. And that is where we're at right now. I will catch you guys up once we get to the gym and actually hop on the bike so I can chat with you guys with my phone. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up Kick, make sure that the stream's working. Put in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, here we go. All right. Bane, how we doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. So, did a little bit of, also, how's your day been? I know that you were up until, what? You've been up late. You're on a different schedule. I've gotten quite a bit done since we last spoke. In particular, I have mapped out, because here's the other thing. There's always so much to do. And we're constantly trying to block and tackle, remove the uncertainty as much as we can. The more progress that we're making, the more uncertainty that we're removing. So there's like the uncertainty of the product risk. Like, are we actually gonna have a product able to sell? Then there's the uncertainties of distribution. Well, the one that I started diving into yesterday was the uncertainty around the go-to-market. Because I know I talked about it a little bit and we did some research, but when I really thought about it, it's like, you know if you understand something based on if you can explain it. So I was trying to explain to myself how this go-to-market is going to look. And by go-to-market, I mean, okay, that's everything in terms of the launch, the marketing, where we're launching, the strategy to acquire users. And as I was thinking through all this, I thought, I don't really know some of the important questions and answers. And if I don't know it, then how are you guys going to know it? And how are we going to launch and truly hit the pocket properly to get a lot of users? And look, it's in every startup. No matter who you're working with, no matter how much funding you have, no matter where you're at, it's gonna be messy. There's no question about it. But our goal is to make sure that all the activities that we're taking are as effective as possible. It's like if we spend time on something, we don't want that time to be wasted and not actually getting us the revenue or the output. So I started diving into that and I found out a lot of things. And I'm gonna share those things with you once we get into the gym here. Ayush, what's up, man? What's up? Good to see you. How much of that did you catch? I'll be able to chat with you guys more in a more focused way once I get into the gym here.
Oh, yeah. But the floor sale has increases, and that's why 11.
All right. We got our main bike today, boys. All right. Ayush, how you feeling, man? You feeling better? Bane, after you left yesterday, Ayush kept me company. But he had a fever. All right, let's see. All right, that's good, man. That's good. Feeling better. Okay, so Ayush, I can run through that again, but like the short of it is I started doing some research and thinking on our go-to-market, and I realized that there's a lot of work to do there. And all of this stuff, it's gonna be a lot easier to go through once I'm back in front of a computer. After this workout, we're gonna be hitting legs, but after this workout, I think I'm just gonna go back, get ready, and we're gonna get back to all the work in front of the computer. And I don't think we're gonna watch as many videos today, just because I can keep the coding going while I'm kind of catching you guys up on this other stuff. All right. Sorry, I just need to, this thing moving around is, all right. Yeah, so we're gonna be talking through the go-to-market, basically. And as I started diving into it, I was learning some new things, and I realized that there's some downsides that we didn't account for fully, but then there's also some like upside opportunities. And in reality, I started diving down this path of the go-to-market, but I still think that there's work to be done there. So I'm gonna be doing that work live while doing the coding on another screen. But I think that this is a very important part, because I think one of the big questions on all of our minds is how is it actually gonna look in practice? Like, imagine that the product's done. If the product's done, what do the next steps look like? We wanna plan for that now, so we're not kind of, so we can hit the ground running. So we're not kind of like all over the place as soon as we hit that point. All right. Sounds good, Ayush. Sounds good. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. I'm gonna start trying to do that more, where I realized earlier on, I wasn't thinking in outcomes enough. See, this is one of the big benefits of listening to those videos. This one, I know we listened to, in the past 2 days, we've listened to Elon, Novak, Sam Altman, Djokovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, and a bunch of other people too. And hearing from all of them, it's interesting to hear all of their mindsets in such a short period of time. But one of the big ones from Chris Williamson that I'm applying right away is thinking more in outcomes. I'm doing that for myself, but I'm realizing that sometimes with you guys, I'm not thinking in outcomes enough. So rather than thinking in like a task or an action or an input, really trying to think in, okay, what's the big outcome that we're going for? Give you guys a big outcome, and then like that will contribute to the big outcome that we're all trying to move after. So to that point, I use, yes, 10 engaged new people. However you want to make it happen or can make it happen, you can do it. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go and simultaneously focus on these other big outcomes. And that's the thing, is like you do this and then it's like you show you can execute, go after bigger outcomes and bigger outcomes. But I think that this is a good starter, like 10 people. I have like a scorecard. All right, so my game plan today was to hit legs. Still might be, but as I'm on this bike, I'm realizing my legs are actually kind of tired right now. I don't know why. Maybe it's just from all the biking we've been doing, but it's been a little while since we hit legs last. Yeah, Ayush, what are your main areas? Want to make sure I understand that properly. Are your main areas like community, Discord, clipping, those three? Ayush, good stuff, bro. Good stuff. Okay, so community, management, and clipping. Well, look, Ayush, one thing you could do, get, how many clippers do you know? Let's start there. Ayush, how many clippers do you know? Okay, 20 to 30. Tell them that if they don't join our live tomorrow or later today at some point, then I'm gonna bring my clipping business elsewhere. Because I'm gonna be doing a ton of clipping, a ton. And if they don't show up, can't show up for a live on short notice, then I'm gonna need to build a different team. So whichever ones show up, They have the opportunity, and those are the only ones that I have a potential of working with when we launch the largest scale clipping campaign known to man. So, Ayush, it's in your hands to get this clipping. You have an opportunity of a lifetime in front of you, Ayush. You have an opportunity of a lifetime to tie down some clipping contracts that are going to be coming within the next 60 days. And if the clippers can't show up, then we're going to have to go to someone else. It's not a threat, Ayush. It's me trying to focus on working with people who actually can show up and get things done. It's called selection for agency. It's filtering. You want to filter with people who can get things done, else they waste your time and drain your energy and have you solve problems for them. And that needs to be cut off at the seam. This will bleed into everything else. And just like I'm doing here with you, it sounds harsh, but look, you got to curate your circle, man. You've got to curate it. If you're surrounded by people who ask you to solve their problems and can't do things, it's going to slow you down. Seriously, slow you down. This will be a good filtering mechanism for you. If you can't rely on them to show up when there's clearly a big thing right at the end, then when you give them the contract, whatever, why would expecting the behavior to change and being surprised when they drop the ball it's not on them, it's on you. It's all accountability. I know these are not the things that you guys want to hear, but I'm telling you, it's what it is. And look, it's pretty obvious when you have a big goal in front of you that it's like, look, you need to be surrounded by the people that can help, that can help rather than slow you down. Yes, we will see. A lot of clipping is on the line in the next 24 hours. Also, I'm being hit up like 24/7 on Instagram and all these different channels. So many clippers out there. It's like, might as well get the best ones. That's the big question, is how do you find the ones that are good? They'll show up, be able to make things happen. Like that's one, like full transparency outside of the product side, because this is related to distribution. In my mind, I'm like, all right, how are we gonna select out of this sea of different opportunities which people are actually good and can get it done? It's like, can they show up? Can they be consistent? And can they actually produce the views and fulfill what they're telling you that they can fulfill? All right, almost 15 minutes in. I think we're gonna hit the bike for 30. And then, yeah, after this 30 minutes, make the final decision on legs or chest tries, upper body. All right, so thinking through the product and all of those things, I think after these coding marathons the past 2 days, I think we're over 50% of the way done to getting our initial product launched. We've been moving, guys, we've been moving. The big question for me is like how long some of these things are gonna take later on. Like I woke up again this morning, did a little bit more, got 10 more DevNet Sol in the wallet. Yesterday, we actually couldn't have gone any further because we had used all 10 DevNet Sol that we had gotten from our airdrop and the previous airdrop. So we're basically at a point where we had to stop. Then since then, I've actually done 2 top-ups. So I don't think we're gonna get hamstrung or blocked anymore today. Fingers crossed, obviously, but I don't think we're gonna get blocked by DevNet Sol limitations. It's like our program's getting so much bigger, which is what we need. But I mean, even now when I run an anchor test to just go see if it works or lay out the failure points, just running a single anchor test now, it's like we're having to consume Sol and run. It just like the runtime is just so long. So that is what we are contending with. But hopefully we're gonna be able to keep on pace and get this thing done. And I actually started to switch over thinking we are gonna get it done within the next week. If I was to guess, especially if we keep these coding marathons up, should be able to get done in the next week. So while all these things are coding and all this is happening, I gotta get everything done, buttoned up on the regulatory strategy, the launch strategy. Part of the regulatory strategy is actually finding regulated integration or partners. I don't think we're gonna need deep integration. That's what we're gonna figure out today. But then if we crack that nut, we can have 2 things happening simultaneously. One is legally and in a compliant way, be able to launch in the US through partners, and then have our own corporate structure that is gonna begin the path on getting regulated itself. So both of these are moving simultaneously. And that is where we're at. Yes, that's a great question, Ayush. So the way that the markets get created is initially, this is part of how we're going to solve it. So within the product, we're building in the potential to, we're building out the potential to be able to have markets go up and then approve those markets or not. Those markets need to reach a minimum volume to open up. And we're thinking about it more from the proof point perspective, because what we've realized is that the only way that this thing takes off is if people can trust it, people know it works, people can verify receipts, and people can interact with the protocol and have the expected outcome happen. So first time you go into the platform, it's a new product. You're putting some capital in, you don't know if it's a scam, all this bullshit that you have to contend with, that many of the users, crypto users, all of these, they've been burned in the past. If they're at the point where they're using phantom wallets, they're doing I mean, it's inevitable. Every single person who's used wallets has faced, like by their own error, someone else's error, like scam attempts, like everything. So we need to overcome that boundary especially if we're gonna get someone to put large amounts of capital on the platform. So everything that we learned needs to be trust first, needs to get people to see that this is legit. So then the big question in the user testing that came out was, what makes people build the trust and take that next step is they can verify proof, they can verify receipts. They know that there's no like shady business going on, like market manipulation. They see that markets like open fairly, or in the past have not opened and just return the money. And every single time one of those activities happens in our platform, we're giving what we're calling internally proof bundles. So these proof bundles are going to spread the fact that we're legit and that there's verification, that everything's trackable. That is the most transparent platform that's ever been created. And get that seeded amongst the community. I think early on, we're gonna have a number of proof bundles going out showing that we've returned funds, that markets only open when they're fair and legitimate and there's a minimum amount of volume. And so the initial part of the go-to-market is actually us launching the platform and allowing some of these minimum proof bundles to happen. The other part of the go-to-market is, okay, who creates the markets? What are the markets based around? For every market, you have a source of truth. And in this case, the source of truth could be Bitcoin, right? Is the Bitcoin price above or below this? There's the source of truth on the price side. Then there's the source of truth if there's anything else that is contingent in the market. And so, at least initially, the only one proposing markets is gonna be us, but it's gonna be free and open in a legally compliant way for people to be able to participate in those markets. So if the market gets shown, that's one piece. If we decide, because we're not gonna wanna select a lot of markets early on. So you're gonna go onto the platform, see a couple of the biggest markets, and then it's our system. If it reaches the minimum volume, then the market can open. If there's a verified source of truth and everything else, market will open automatically and your commitment's turned into a bet. And then if the market minimum isn't reached, then all of the funds are sent directly back to the users. So that is the way that the system's gonna work, the early way that we're gonna launch and get users, the early way that we're gonna get trust, and the early way that we're gonna actually get viral sharing. Because another thing that we learned is that the majority of our target customers, yes, they might find out or like to see stuff and hear stuff online. The main social platform is X, but where a lot of the volume and product adoption actually comes from is from the people who share it in their private groups. So it'll be like a whale or some other crypto user who's in these different groups, whether on Telegram or others, private groups. And if they find a cool new platform that's legit, they'll share it. Now we're trying to make that process as easy and verifiable as possible. So unlike many platforms that might just share a URL or the website, we're gonna have a good trust first URL, but we're also gonna make it super easy for people to share our proof bundles, which will not only make it easy to share and seamless, but it'll show and build trust with everyone that they share it with. And at the end of the day, that is how I believe we're gonna get volume. And we're also going to simultaneously do it in a compliant way. That's the current go-to-market. Of course, we can change this. This is the initial stages, but that explanation I just gave, all of those decisions came from understanding our product roadmap, understanding the target customers in a ladder, because like we've got our ideal target customers, we'll call them ICP A, all the way down to our least ideal customer profile that would still maybe participate, which is everything down to like a sports gambler, like ICP E. So it's like A, B, C, D, like it's a ladder. And so what we tried to do in coming up with this approach is take into account the product roadmap, take into account the target customer ladder and all of their preferences, and then figure out, okay, how are we going to get to the most volume and attract our target customers and do it in a way that's fast and builds trust over time, so it compounds. Because on marketing, you might just get one person, right? But if that one person, every time you bring someone in, is bringing in at least one more or two, then that's what allows you to do viral marketing. And also do it in a way that you're not spending egregious amounts of money. Like, there's much higher leverage customer acquisition spend early on than, like, by the time that it's like a stake or a big company that you know about, those guys have massive marketing budgets. And so they're willing to spend way more per customer that they acquire because they're trying to eat up the market share. Right now, we do need to eat up market share, but we need to do it in a cost-effective way and lay the foundation that's going to make it easy for us to acquire more customers later on. So that is what this strategy has been born out of. Did a lot of research on that the past 48 hours while I was building the product, and I think it's a good game plan. So, of course, I'm positive that as we learn more, we're gonna have to change things slightly, and we're just gonna make decisions based off of what we learn. So we've done as much data collection as I think you reasonably can do ahead of these decisions, but the one unknown variable that we are unable to do until we launch is get the real world customer feedback in the wild. And so as we get that, we're actually gonna weight that pretty heavily, like really heavily. We just need to make sure that we get enough customer data in the wild that, like, you're getting honest signals on the data front for the product decisions. All right. Questions. Think 3 to 5K budget would be good for start. And yeah. So right now on the budget side, you know, budget is a byproduct of what we know and the roadmap, right? Like, a lot of people might look at something and say, okay, well, we need to do this. We need to spend like 5K on marketing or 10K on marketing and spend like this here and this here and this here. And like, yeah, at the end of the day, if you're putting it in good places, that is gonna have results. The big question is we're trying to go for world record results. And so we can't, like it's taking the energy and the effort and the data-driven approach to make the best decisions. And every spend is a calculated investment. And like, you have a hypothesis going into that investment, and you've got an expected outcome, and you have the uncertainty of what happens in the real world. And then no matter what, every spend that you do, the outcome that you do get, no matter what, is a data signal that you might not have gotten from your research. And so what we're trying to do and optimize for is getting the best data and information and signals to make the best decisions, and doing that as quickly and low cost as possible. And so in terms of marketing, to your point, Ayush, I think that overall, across all these things, we're gonna do these spends strategically. But as soon as we see and can attribute certain spends and customer acquisition to certain areas, at that point, we're gonna do more tests along those lines and double down and double down. And so, and the other thing that's good about like not going crazy on the spend initially in different areas is it can be distracting. So not only are you wasting money to a certain extent, it's like, I mean, just think about it logically. It's gonna be easier for you to manage, keep your head around where traffic's coming from and distribution if you're doing it around a marketing spend of like $1,000 versus a marketing spend of 100,000. It's gonna be harder to attribute if you're doing a test on one channel. So, long story short, Ayush, I think that your instinct is right. I think that, you know, that type of a budget to start is good. The big question is based on what we learn, like how many tests, how many different data signals are we going to be able to run in that initial 3 to 5? That's the big thing. So if we can make 200 different style clips, right? And we test that with a certain size budget, and we know each format or version is doing different calculated tests, then I think that that's a perfect initial starting point. That's the one piece that I haven't yet done, but I'll end up doing on on stream so we can work together on it is you have the ideal customer ladder, right? So we've got our like ideal customer profile A, it's like our top priority, and laddering down all the way to E. So we give higher priority to the ones on top. ICP. I'm just gonna start saying ICP, it's easier. The ICP-A. One of the things that I wanna do prior to the clipping is, based on everything that ICP is looking for, things that they like, don't like, XYZ, all of these preferences, we're gonna come up with a ton of different video style formats and things that we anticipate will resonate with them. We're gonna have a whole different list, things that will resonate with them, or that we think will. And if we have the ability to test 200 different formats, 200 different styles of clipping with different budgets, and get the data to see how well these performed, and follow some type of data. So it's not gonna be perfect. Look, it's gonna be really hard to build ideal attribution to what's working, but if we can do that, where it's like each clipping campaign that's happening is testing different things, and we're constantly cutting the bottom like 10% or 20% or whatever we choose to cut out of the different types of formats, I anticipate that by the end, we'll be left with maybe like 10 different ideal formats after many, many different campaigns and budgets. 10 different ideal formats that we know are just gonna crush on the customer acquisition side, and that we can just like rinse and repeat, double down on, and continue to test on. And so then by the end, we're gonna be stuck with, every time we're running these campaigns, we know that what we're doing is just super high return on investment on the spend. So just laying out all my thoughts for you guys. Yeah, you know, before we launch campaigns too, I want to show you guys the data, like, and understand. Like right now, if I was to ask you guys to list out our top 3 ideal customer profiles, and it's not, I haven't shared them fully. Like I've just been working on them on stream. I've talked to them verbally, but I think that this is really important. Like at the end of the day, the big thing that I want to avoid is the mistake that a lot of these viral tech companies did, which is they get known by everyone for the wrong reasons, and they're not resonating with their target customer. And by the end, everyone has a certain view on them that is negative to their overall success as a company. So I'll give you an example. If you look at, this is a very recent one. This guy's actually a great Gen Z marketer. He blew up very fast. Was able to raise capital, I think mainly on his attention, but he got everyone to find out about him, and also not for the right reasons. And everyone kind of knows now that his product just sucks. And I tried his product at one point. It was not good. And you know, this is one of many examples. I think we do need to manufacture the virality, but manufacture the virality in the right way and through signals. I'll give you another example. I'll run through a scenario, like play out some scenarios for you in paths that we could potentially go down. Let's say we launch, the product's ready and we're launching, and we go mega viral. By that point, all of our regulatory paths are not fully in place. We're accidentally having a lot of our videos seen in jurisdictions where we're not legally allowed to market to. And all of a sudden we have a lot of heat coming down on us from different organizations, governmental organizations, and we don't have the resources to like fully deal with that at the moment because we're a thin team. Then eventually it spirals out. We don't get to improve the product anymore. We're too focused on like fighting and getting all of these legal challenges and all these things coming in that we need to fill out. And then our product iteration stalls and still be successful, but it's not as clean of a path as, let's say, product's ready, we launch, to particular areas with tests to see what works, what doesn't work with the thin slice of the world that is our target customer. And we start realizing that our first few campaigns aren't really working. Many of our, like 90 out of our first 100 aren't working, but there's 10% that it's like, okay, these formats did pretty solid, and it actually brought us some users. Not a ton, but it brought us like 50 users, 100 users placing bets. And then a lot of those users that are placing bets, we're getting feedback from. We're speaking with them. We're getting real world data. We realize, oh, maybe we should display things this way to build trust, or we should do this or that or that. We start making some improvements on the product. And then fast forward a little further, as we've made those improvements on the product, our legal structure is a little further in place. We have some partner integrations. At that point, we also know what works better with our target customer. Then we ramp up those formats that work, acquire more customers, continue to refine the system. By that point, I have time to raise some venture or some investor capital, have the ability to offload some of the annoying legal shit onto another person to like take care and run that, the baton on that. It's like a much more, it's an approach that I think is a much more higher likelihood of having us succeed. And the reason why is because to get to the $1 million in revenue that quickly, we need volume and we need credibility. And the partners that would give us that volume, if we do a partner integration while we're on track to get legally, the legal track, the partners that we're working with, that we're gonna leverage their license as partners that have volume, those people are only gonna trust us if we're doing everything in an intelligent way. And I think that we can do those. Whether it's with, borrowing the license of Kalshi, that's what Coinbase and Robinhood did, or we go down another path. I think that that's how we unlock volume and credibility very early. I think that we'll shoot ourselves in the foot actually that's the wrong way to put it. I think that the best way to explain, there's so many thoughts here, so I know I'm rambling. I'm not sure if all this is making sense. But I think that the big thing that I'm getting at is every decision that we make, we want to be moving as fast as we can, gaining momentum, but we want to do it based on the informational foundation that we've built, and that is the target customer. Understanding the right path, what we can legally do, the successes and failures that have come before us. Like everything that we want to do, we want to have the ability to be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4 levels deep in terms of why we're doing that. And it's okay if it's the wrong decision, but it takes that energy, effort, and attention to detail to make sure that we've put in the work outside and ahead of the decisions. So we can attribute those decisions to, there's a reason why we're making that investment. The investment of the time into moving down that path, the investment in the actual capital to carry out a strategy, the investment in whatever decision we make. And so it's interesting because it's almost like you're holding two conflicting thoughts at once. One is move fast, the other is making sure that you've got the data. And at the end of the day, to make that happen, it just takes a lot of hard work and focus to be able to do it. One of my buddies just called me. I gotta answer it. Yo, what is good? Yeah, man. I'm actually I'm working out right now, hitting the lift, or actually on the bike, but I'm gonna be hitting the lift right after. Yeah. Oh, nice. Sounds good, man. Yeah, I'm probably about to finish up on the bike, go hit a lift. What are you guys doing? I guess, what does the rest of the day look like? They're coming in, pool, sauna. You guys grabbing dinner or something? Nice, man. All right, cool. Well, I'll hit you up after I finish up at the gym. I might, just depending on timing, might have to skip on the day. Yeah. Sounds good, man. All right. I'll see you. Peace. All right. Let's see where we were at. It's one of my buddies who's in the area. A couple of our friends from the area in college are going to be around me later today. So they're meeting up and seeing if I wanted to roll through. Interesting. So the app that blew up is called Go Viral. You know what, Ayush? That's a great point. I will look at their go-to-market strategy, see if we can learn and apply what they did. See if we can apply it. It's called Go Viral. Is that like the name of it? All right, Ayush. Good stuff, bro. I'm excited to check it out. All right, we're getting kind of sweaty. I think we're gonna call it on the bike here.
John Reed Radio. We drop beats, you drip sweat.
Well, you know what? Ayush, that is so useful to keep in mind. Like at the end of the day, if they were able to make it. Oops. I was just saying, Ayush, that just saw your message. So yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate you sharing that because you know, that is good signal or information. Like when I try and think of like, okay, what do we want to learn from, or what information's relevant? There's like a couple of things. So I'll give you some examples. Let's say that you look at the way that, I'm gonna give a random example, but let's say you look at the way that like Coca-Cola, for example, got a bunch of customers, like, let's say it was acquiring customers like 30 years ago, or any brand, insert any brand. They might have done something that could have been great for the marketing landscape at that time. But then again, it's a very different landscape 20 years ago than social media and everything today. And they spent different amounts of money. So if a company, so there's like the time lag section of it. So if there's like a big time lag, then the likelihood that the environment that you're launching into is very different. Like that's one, like timing. You also want to take into account the industry, right? So the industry, there's going to be different types of norms or things in the industry. So you run a campaign where like norms are one way in like the beverage industry, and then you go to like the tech industry, that's like another thing something to keep in mind. So what industry is it in? The other thing to keep in mind is like, of course, like the platform. There's context around the platform. Another one, like you're gonna run a different campaign if you're running like a print ad or a news or a billboard than if you're doing something on like TikTok, for example. And then there's another piece, which is like who your actual ideal target customer profile is, like their pain points, like what they care about. Like that's also gonna govern how you're gonna go about marketing to them or getting them to hear. So all of the reason why I'm telling you this, and like it sounds obvious when I say it, like flush it out like this, but what I'm getting at is, you know, there's a lot of nuance to every single way that you acquire customers and get heard about them, and the brand that you have, and all of them are important, right? How you acquire customers, the reputation that you build, and that and honestly boiling it down to like the unit economics of your business, like customer acquisition costs. How much is it going to cost for you to acquire a customer all in? And then customer lifetime value, like how much on average do you make for every customer that you acquire? So of course you need the unit economics of your business, your costs to acquire, produce, and then serve. You need those to work out. So, because if you don't, then the business is kind of a broken business model. It's like, very obvious example, but let's say that you're selling like ice cream, and for some reason, it's costing you like $1 to produce per scoop. If you are charging 75 cents and it costs you money to bring people in, then that business is clearly gonna fail. So then you're gonna have to adjust some of the levers. How are you gonna change your customer acquisition cost? How are you gonna change your pricing? Can you change your pricing? What's the price elasticity? Like if you improve your pricing, will you suddenly lose all your customers? Like very obvious, very like intuitive things. It's like, but they're important to the business model. And so like obviously when we're launching, you wanna, all right, let's see here. Oh, I'm checking the chat. All right, see you, Ayush. All right, well, Ayush, have a rest, man. Have a rest. You can do it, though, dude. You can get the people to the stream. You can do it. I believe in you. Get the clippers. You have a lot of potential clipping on the line here. Your guys have the opportunity of a lifetime right in front of them. How many other times in life can you say, all you have to do is show up and try and do that for a month, and your outcome is going to be unimaginable compared to where you're at? It's like giving the most direct route, taking out so much of the complexity, trying to make it as easy as like you show up and you work hard and you will get the outcome. So you and your friends can do it, Ayush, I'm telling you. All right, so yeah, going back to the fundamentals of the business, and I'll talk about it here too. Why do software companies have such large multiples? Like, why is a software business that's spitting out like $1 million in revenue a month have a valuation that's like 100 times higher than a restaurant doing the same thing? Maybe not 100, but you get the point. Like, why is it so much more valuable, that revenue? It's because the fundamentals of your business, if you have a great tech product, are so much more scalable and powerful. So if you think about a restaurant, you've got all these costs, right? You've got the costs of like your space, your staff, your raw materials, your ingredients, the chefs, putting things in, and think about how scalable your distribution is. Well, your restaurant, it's not scalable distribution. You need people there in person. They need to hear about you. They need to be local, and they need to come in and take all these actions to go to your store. The constraints of your business model as a restaurant make it very difficult for you to scale and make a lot more money. Could be great. Like if you're doing $1 million revenue a month, you probably have a couple locations. It's a huge Herculean effort to get a new restaurant to scale your business, because every time you got to find a new space, you got to find new people that are local, you got to find ways to distribute to that market, got to do all these things over again. Very difficult. And the market prices this in. The market knows that, you know, just because you have a restaurant that's doing $1 million in revenue, it's not like it's going to be guaranteed to scale. How defensible is your brand? All of these things. Software, what we're doing. First off, the number of people around the world that even have the ability to build one of the sections of this product is very small. There are a lot of people that know how to like secure a lease in a restaurant. There are a lot of people that know how to cook food. There are a lot of people that can do all these things. You got the limitation on how to actually build it. Then once you do build it, you have all of these things around like the fulfillment still, acquiring customers, all of that. But you've got a global, like a much more scalable audience. If I want to go and acquire like 200 more customers a month, I don't have to build a new product. It's like you don't have to go build a new restaurant. It's like you just need people in another area to like go on to a website. That's a much easier lift too, to go and expand. It's like the fundamentals of the business are much, much better, okay? It's harder in many ways to stand up a good tech product. There's a lot more money on the line and you're competing against some of the smartest people in the world, but it's different fundamental unit economics and business model. And so what we're doing, I'm telling you guys, like there's so many micro decisions that I'm not even gonna like talk about or mention as it relates to why we're doing what we're doing, because if I was just talking about this stuff 24/7, then we would never have the time to actually go and do stuff. But the decision that we've made in terms of the defensibility, the global nature, the scalability, and the unit economics costs. It costs so much money to service a restaurant, to do food and serve it to the person who comes in. After we build this thing once, our unit economics are so good because it costs us so little. You just got to maintain the platform. So this is the reason why some of these companies, investors will look at your business and they would never invest in a million years some type of restaurant. But if they look at like a platform like ours, it's like, oh, this thing, if these guys pull it off, it's going to be massive. Kalshi, Polymarket, these are companies worth tens of billions of dollars. Billion. You're not talking about like a 10, 20, $30 million company. You're not talking about a $100 million company. You're not talking about a $200, $300 million company. You're talking about when you nail the business model, when you nail the unit economics, when you nail distribution, when you nail building a difficult product architecture, and when you have all these things converge and you move quickly and you compete, you move past the game where you're paying tens of millions or hundreds. You're looking at fundamentally massive companies. And each one of these decisions that we're making needs to take the immediate challenge into account, of course, how to overcome the immediate roadblock, but there are so many other constraints along all these different areas and all other areas of the business and everything else that need to be taken into account, almost like in an invisible way. Because if they're not, then it could, you could win the battle and lose the war. You don't want to win the battle and lose the war. Solve some tiny, win one battle, paper over a problem, put a Band-Aid on it. But if you don't address the massive problem, then it's not going to work out. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this into perspective, but it really is like, imagine that you get shot. Say someone goes and they shoot you, and you're bleeding. You're bleeding significantly, and it's a big problem. And someone comes in, and they see this, and it's like crazy bad. They're like, you know, there's blood everywhere, blood all over the ground, and they're like, you know what? This is way worse than it was before you got shot. So I'm gonna make it better. First off, it's a mess. I'm gonna go and like, let's get some paper towels and everything and just start cleaning up this mess. There's blood everywhere. You're like, listen, I know that that's an issue, and at some point, we're gonna have to wipe up this blood, but I'm fucking shot. Like, you're fucking, like, you need to take care of this. We need to stop the bleeding. We need to make sure that we don't bleed out. And we need to get me to a hospital. We'll go and we'll take care of all the blood on the floor later. We've got bigger problems. We've got bigger battles, so we gotta keep me alive. So that sounds so silly, but that is literally what a lot of people will do when it comes to business, because they don't understand the whole game. solving for the wrong problem. It's like, yes, that is an issue. There's blood there. But we gotta fucking save my life. Okay, we gotta save your life. You're bleeding to death, we're gonna save your life. We're gonna worry about the floor and all of the mess and the stained sheets and all this shit. We'll worry about that later. Right now, we gotta save you. So we gotta focus on with that type of consistency. And look, we're gonna make mistakes. Not always gonna do the right thing. Maybe, because especially if you've not done it before, you don't know. It's like, maybe you're just focused on getting them to the hospital and you don't like cover the wound. Maybe you cover the wound, but if you were really smart and trained, you do a tourniquet and stop the blood from falling out, like coming out as quickly as possible. It's like, there are all these nuances and things that we can do better, but the only way we're gonna know what to do better is by being in the situation, getting the real world results. It's like, look, if you're around that type of a situation and you've never been around it, you're gonna learn a lot. And after that, it's gonna be a pretty intense experience. And if that ever happens again, where you're in that situation, you're gonna know what to do. You're gonna handle it much better than you did the first time. And what I'm telling you is that I have been in this situation multiple times with multiple companies in multiple different industries. I've had to be in that situation to save the life many times. So what I'm trying to tell you and what I'm trying to guide you guys and what the decisions we're making, yes, I'm not gonna be the best medic in the world. I'm not gonna give you the best possible answers because there are people that are doing it at a higher level. But I'm gonna tell you that we're gonna make a hell of a good attempt. We're gonna to save you in that moment. And we're gonna be bringing some stuff to the table to save you in that moment. And that is the path that we are on. That is the path we are on. I need the support. Can't do it alone. We need a car to get to the hospital. We need the doctors when we get to the hospital. They need equipment. There's a lot of things that are also involved, but I can help try and coordinate it all. But we need the car to work. We need to get you there. There's like so many things. I'm really pushing this analogy to its limit, but this is what it's like. It's hard to explain, but this analogy actually does a pretty good job explaining it. Yeah, Bane, you're 100% right. We need 500 people. Come on. And each one of those 500, we need to know who they, like, what type of category they fall into and get their feedback and see if there's any changes we need to make to our ideal customer profile understanding. We built our ideal customer profile understanding as much as we could, but might need to make some changes to it. Or will need to make some changes once we get real world data. And then continue to craft, stair step, and get these smaller wins. And then if we stack enough of those up before we know it, we've done a lot, some big things, and then bigger people want to join. Oh, you get down on a legally compliant track, oh, you're much more serious. You can get some big partners. Oh, we've hit all this progress, we launch and ship the product very quickly, we get initial users, an investor is gonna wanna come on board. Like, if you follow the path and keep hitting the right milestones, you will hit the next unlock, you will hit the next level of the video game. And right now we are on level 1. Level 1, my friend. We are almost on level 2. But I know that if we do the right things, we will beat this level. All right, we're almost an hour in on the cardio side. I'm thinking, trying to think what we actually hit. We could just try and hit isolation on legs, not make it like a long heavy lift. After being on the bike for an hour, I don't think we're gonna be hitting any PRs or massive lifts. All right, guys, I'm excited to, I know I should enjoy the workout, but I keep thinking about all the stuff that I want to go back and do when we were in front of the desktop. So we're gonna wrap this up. I think we're just gonna hit some quick legs, lifting the machines upstairs, and then get back. All right. I'm pretty tired. Still got some good amount left in the tank though for the lift, but we're getting our cardio up. All right. Yes, Bane. We need. Yesterday, I'm pleased to. I'm not just yesterday. I'm pleased to report that we have won the battles both yesterday and today. Seriously won in spectacular fashion. Okay, we are crushing it. But we are still the underdogs, so there's no need. There's no room to let up. We need every win right now. It's not really a question of how we can do and all this. I mean, what's the right way to say this? It's not a question of like if we have the opportunity to let up and potentially lose a battle or two, because right now your back is up against the wall, and it's like with Djokovic. There's no room, there's no option. There was no question. There's no choice that he had. His choice was win or win. His dad owed money to the mafia or whatever criminal. I don't know if it's the mafia, but you are in the same position, or we are in the same position. We need to win every single battle. All right. So what we're gonna do here.